Let me welcome you to PHY102 this week. This is the final week of that means beyond this week we will be virtually. I think you should have presentation when you are so when we the number of things that we are able to do as we hire when we meet physically with our guests or answer questions. And before I go on with this, let me tell you that also I have put the link on the first page of the LMS, and I've also put it on the chat box here. I'm going to repeat it now. So if for whatever reason you are locked out, then you can come in YouTube and enjoy the class. Some of you are complaining that you can't hear. So those who are they are asked off and lower it down, I want to ask a question. The response. So if your hand is off before, kindly try. I want to ask you a question that will require reason. So the question I want to ask now is, if you cannot hear me, raise up your hand. If you cannot hear me, raise up your hand. If you cannot hear me, raise up your hand. Uh-oh. Virtually everyone is not able to hear. I think you should hear. Okay, somebody said my voice keep coming and going. Well, that is the internet for you. So once again, it is only those who cannot hear me that raise up their hand. We have as much as 88 raising up their hand. What is happening with today's transmission? This is quite unfortunate. It's unusual. This is unusual. The last class should not be like this. Let me see what is happening to the volume here. Wow. If you are still struggling with my voice, let me know, because there's no point transmitting when you cannot hear me. So those who cannot hear me should raise up their hand. Only those who cannot hear should raise up their hand. Okay, the number is reducing. That means you are picking gradually. I don't know what is happening today. And the last class, you should be able to hear. Okay, it's better now. Okay, yeah, I want it to be better. Hello. And this is the last class. I have put it on the chat box. Your test comes up this week, and you are expected to attempt the test as from tomorrow. 10 a.m. the test will be opened, and we close finally on Friday at a minute to 12 midnight. So if you must take the test, ensure that you attempt the test between 10 a.m. tomorrow and 11:59 p.m. on Friday. Beyond that, you will not be able to have access to the test. It's a 10 minutes exercise. And in less than 10 minutes, if you are a student of the class, you should be able to do the exercise. You have just one attempt. So once you have made up your mind you want to take the test, go for it. In 10 minutes, you are done. Less than 10 minutes, you can be done. It depends on how hot or otherwise are you as far as this class is concerned. So we have started an aspect of the interaction last week. Somebody is asking for the YouTube link again. I have put it on the LMS page of the class, and I'll again put it on the chat box. It has been on the chat box again and again. So I have put it again on the chat box. So, like I mentioned, this is the last class virtually. We are going to meet in class at the time the university must have announced to you. And that will be physical interaction. Now, last week when we started interaction, we mentioned the subject matter of what vector and scalars are. Vectors will require you indicate both their magnitude and direction before you can give a complete information about them. Whereas scalar quantity will not require such. A scalar quantity only requires that you mention the size or the magnitude. Once that has been done, then you are good to go. Then when it comes to addition of a vector, what could be done? We mentioned that when you are adding a scalar, it's just as good as you are adding ordinary numbers. And when you are adding a scalar quantity, it's not the same. Vector quantity is not like that. You have to put into consideration the direction of each of the vectors. When they are in the same direction, then you keep them as if they are just ordinary numbers. But when they are in different directions, then some of the factor is what you are doing before you can arrive at the promised land. And we mentioned that we can have the vector geometrically, and we can also do it analytically. The geometrical approach will require scale drawing, and may also be by way of using parallelogram law or the triangular law of vector addition. We have started the analytical discussion at the time we ended that interaction. So we are going to pick it from there, and I'm going to go on now to show you certain features that will explain what we mean by analytical solution by way of resolving the given forces. You split the given forces of vector into its components. Like I mentioned last week, we normally do business with the two perpendicular components, the vertical and the horizontal. Of course, you can split a single force into several components, but in many instances, we are comfortable with just the y-axis, that is the vertical, and the s-axis splitting. And I say if we are looking at the three dimensions, then we'll be talking about the z-axis. So you have the s-y-z, in which case each of these axes is orthogonal to the other. Meaning that the s-axis is orthogonal to y-axis, orthogonal to z-axis. By orthogonal means it's at 90 degrees to each of these other axes. So I'm going to show you something on the screen now in a minute. You can see on the screen on the screen on the left, top left hand, you see a dog, a puppy, with a chain. Usually when you are holding a dog with a chain, you are holding him at an angle. That is what the arrow that goes up is saying. I'm looking at the left hand picture now. That arrow is showing you the force you are applying on the chain. That force is towards you. That single force you apply on the chain is what we say can be split into two perpendicular directions. And that is what we mean by equal to. Now, when you apply that force, invariably, certain fraction of the force has that tendency of pulling the dog up, and certain aspect of it has the tendency of dragging the dog on the floor. The one that has the tendency of lifting this dog up, that is the vertical component of the force you apply. The one that has that tendency of dragging it on the floor, that is the one that we call the S-axis. Now you look at the bottom picture. It's saying that that force you apply on the chain at an angle, that single force is what we have succeeded in splitting into two. That is what you have at the bottom right-hand corner, showing that there's one up, there's one along the x-axis. When the one that goes up, which is parallel to the y-axis, is vectorially added to the one that is acting along the x-axis, it must equal to what you have on the left, which is the one you have actually applied. So the one you apply at an angle to the dog through the chain, that is what we are split into two perpendicular axes. One that has tendency to move it up, if you are pulling the dog up, and the one that has tendency of dragging the dog on the floor. Those are the two components of the single force or vector you apply at an angle to the chain. Like I said, that we have just represented that single force on the left with two on the right does not mean these are the only two components we can get. We may also get a third component that is expressed in the Z-axis, 3 dimension. And we can get many others. And like I said, in most cases, we do business with the S component, the Y component. That aspect of the force that has tendency of taking it up along the Y-axis, that tendency that has that for a part that has tendency of moving it along the S-axis. I'm going to show you another one to drive home the point. So look at this second picture. We are starting from the left and we are moving to the right. Pretend that the right-hand picture is not there. Look at the left. So it's like we have now put what we saw earlier on paper, drawing a vector diagram for it. The line you see with an arrow, label P, line OC. That is just like once you apply through the chain, line OC. And the angle it makes can be given as the angle to the vertical or the angle to the horizontal. So many of the time we give angle to the horizontal. That means the angle OP, the OC make with the OA. So whichever angle you are given, since you know that the vertical axis and the horizontal axis, they are 90 degrees to each other. Once you know one, you can get the other. Matter of 90 minus what you are getting. Now look at the right-hand picture. We are saying that vector OP, vector P, acting in the direction of OC, can be split into the vertical along OY and along OS. If you want to know what is it, what is the fraction of P acting along X axis, it's a matter of looking at the trigonometry ratio, you know, the sine, the cosine, the tangent, and look at which of them we relate the given diagonal, which is now the hypotenuse of the triangle, which we relate it to what you need. What you are given is the hypotenuse of the right angle triangle. So you want to now know what we relate this given vector P along the OC, what we relate this given with the x-axis, or what we relate it to the y-axis. When you look at the trigonometry, if you look at the sine, if you are looking at, depending on the angle you are also looking at, if we take this angle to the vertical, cosine of the angle to the vertical is OY, cosine of the angle to the vertical will be relating the side OY, where you have B now, with the given value of P, which is along OC. Meaning that the given vector P, its effect along the vertical will be P cosine something. Automatically, the component of P along the x-axis will then be P sine something. So it's a matter of knowing which angle you are given, get your right angle triangle. You know, when we say right angle triangle we have as far as vector P is concerned, maybe using OAC, right angle triangle, or using OBC, also a right angle triangle. Then once you know which right angle triangle you are using and which angle has been given to you, the next now is that what will relate to the angle given to you, the side given to you, and the unknown side. The unknown side are the vertical and the x-axis, meaning that the component along the vertical and the component along the horizontal. If you use the trigonometry ratio properly, usually it's going to be cosine and sine of a thing. Use it appropriately, knowing that when you talk about cosine theta, you are talking about adjacent over hypotenuse. And when it is sine theta, you know it is opposite over hypotenuse. Once you have resolved that, then you are. I have a little comment. I hope you want to talk about something serious, because this is not the time to be taking hands. This is not the time for that. But let me take it and see if you have something we share to say. Analytical, what is it? Analytical, what is it? Analytical, you can move. Where is she again? Or is she a he? Analytical, move.
Good morning, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask, sir, because I had been taught this thing in secondary school, and the horizontal components, the way we used to find it was using r cos theta. And when I saw the side, I was confused because it's sin theta here. And also, when I checked online as well, it was cos theta that they were using for the horizontal components.
Thank you. The theta, where is it located? Is it between the hypotenuse and x-axis, or between the vertical, I mean the y-axis and the given vector. Where is that theta located? Hello? Analytical, where is the position of the theta? Analytical. Analytical, where
Yes,
is
between the vertical and the hypotenuse, sir.
Between
The horizontal and the hypotenuse.
fine. It's correct.
For the vector A.
If the given vector, if it is located, usually it's going to be the hypotenuse side. Now, if the theta of the given vector is defined relative to the s-axis, what we are now looking at is a theta with the vertical facing it and the horizontal being the adjacent. Are you with me? If the angle theta given to you is such that it is between the s-axis and the vector, the opposite of that theta will be your vertical. And then cosine of theta will be the horizontal axis over the hypotenuse. So cosine theta will work in that setting. But if the theta given to you is between the hypotenuse and the vertical, cosine theta will mean the side along the vertical and the hypotenuse. The opposite as far as the other angle is concerned will be your horizontal. So the positioning of the theta determines what you get. But in most cases, it appears people are more comfortable to put the theta in between OC you see on the line and OA, meaning that they define the given vector relative to the s-axis. If that is done, then you having P sine here, you're going to have P cos, and where you have P cos, you're going to have P sine. So there's nothing to memorize. It's just knowing that they're using cosine, they're using sine. And where your theta is determine what you get. So there's nothing to memorize there. Just know if the theta is given relative to the s-axis, then cosine of that will be adjacent, which is the s-axis, over the hypotenuse. Cosine theta will give you what you need. So it's going to be P cos that theta. But if the theta given to you is between the vertical and the hypotenuse, then what you have on the screen will be. I think that should clear whatever difficulty you are having with that. Already, I think we have attempted. Are you comfortable with that? Already, hello. Okay, yes, sir. I think love. What is your own?
No, it was not a question. I'm trying to add to what he was asking. Like, is the reason for that because sine 90 minus theta equals cos theta and cos 90 minus theta equals sine theta? Since it's right angle, so you can use 90 minus theta to find the new theta of the for the horizontal component.
Well, thank you, but essentially, all that we need to know here now is where is the theta? Where is the theta given? For those who may be hearing that for the first time, we mean where is the angle given to? if the angle given to you determine whether it's going to be cosine or sine. Again, we are saying if the angle given to you is such that
Okay,
it's
sir.
between the s-axis and the hypotenuse, just complete a right angle triangle like that. You know, when you complete a right angle that way, the side facing the angle will be your opposite, which will be vertical. And the side
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
along the horizontal will be your adjacent. Hypotenuse remain hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. That is why in that setting where your theta is defined relative to the s-axis, then you are going to have the component along the s-axis being whatever force given to you, cosine the angle. Automatically,
Okay,
the one on the y-axis will be sine the angle. And even when you don't know the relationship between cosine and sine, that sine cos 90 minus theta is equal to sine theta, you don't even know that. Go back to use the same understanding. Like, okay, I'm looking for what connects the vertical now with the hypotenuse. When I have been given a theta close to the, then you are now using opposite, which is the vertical over hypotenuse. Still the same theta, because sine theta will mean opposite it over the hypotenuse. So I think it's a straightforward thing. Hello, I still see some hands. Are we going to be on this for eternity? Now let's give attention to Dewale.
Sir, we can't hear you clearly. We can't hear you clearly, sir.
You can't hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Raise up your hand if you cannot hear me clearly. If you cannot hear me clearly, raise up your hand. Let me know how many will raise up hand. Wow. Again, we have as much as we have as much as for the something student, 52. Well, I sympathize with you. It may be the network you are using or my own network. I sincerely apologize for that, but no cause for alarm. When we meet physically, we will still run through whatever we have covered in the last 6 weeks. Believe that our starting point will still be to take you through what we have done online, so that at the end of the day, you will have a complete knowledge of the course. There is no cause for alarm. So hands down, let's move on, because this is 1:30 already. I still want to do something today. Hands down. So I'm going to share the screen, and from there move on. When it is about, when it is 1:50 or 1:45, I will pause so as to take you through what we have covered between the first class and now, so that when you now write your test as from tomorrow, you have good things to write. So I hope that you can see the screen now. This is part of what we have covered last week. So we mentioned the straight line approach to solving the issue of adding vectors together. Now we have just talked about analytical method. So this is what we mean by splitting a single vector of force into its component. Look at this drawing now. Beautiful. You can see that the vector of interest is vector V along the hypotenuse. You can see that we have labeled two possible angles that can be used to define this vector B or force B. Excuse me. To be able to pin it down and define it correctly, you may define your vector B relative to the x-axis, and you use theta as you see it on the screen. You may also choose to use alpha. Theta, alpha, beta, gamma, they are normally used to denote, they are dummies. Greek letters that we fall in love with. So we normally use them to denote angles. Now, if the angle we are using is theta, and we are looking for the component of B along x axis, which we have labeled as B sub x. B sub x is telling you that the component of that vector B that has effects along x, that part of B that has effects along x axis, that is what we label as B sub x. And that part of it that has effect along the y axis is what we have labeled V sub y. Take that. The next thing now is that how do we then get the value of V sub x and the V sub y? How do we get it? We then say that we move on to use the angle given. Let us use angle theta. Later we shall use alpha to let you know that whether it is theta or alpha, any of them given to us, they are good to go. Supposing it is theta we are given, how do we get V sub x? How do we get V sub y? We say that where you see theta now, can you close this triangle? If you close the triangle opposite where theta is, then the side that closes this triangle will be right angle to the x-axis. Take note of that. Then you then want to relate theta with V and V sub x. Ask yourself, if I find sine theta, will it help me to relate V along x and V together? If that will not work, how about cosine theta? One of the two will definitely help you out. But if you know the definition of a cosine theta, that it is adjacent over hypotenuse, then you will readily see that if you find cos theta here, you are going to have V sub x over V. And when you cross multiply, your V sub x then be V cos theta. That is using theta here as it is. If we are looking for the component along y, the V along y where you see it on the screen is still the same V along y. If you displace this line, move it parallel to where we initially put the side that closes the right angle triangle. That side that closes the right angle triangle we made earlier is still your V along y. You have not done anything to the arithmetic. When you just move them like that, they are parallel, so they are the same. So if you see it that way, then what we relate that opposite now with the angle theta as well as the vector V. Definitely it cannot be cosine again, because cosine will tell you adjacent over hypotenuse. So you are looking for opposite and hypotenuse. That will be sine theta. So sine theta will be opposite the V along y over the hypotenuse. And when you now cross multiply, you get V along y will be V sine theta. So using theta here, the component along x will be V cos theta. The component along y will be V sine theta. That is using angle theta as you see it on the screen. But supposing we are using angle alpha, meaning that the angle given to us is such that we know how the vector is relative to the y-axis. Now, we can close the right angle triangle facing angle alpha. That side we use to close the right angle will be parallel to the x-axis. And that will be where your V along x will be located. The V along y is located exactly where we need it. So when you now take angle alpha and you look at the vector V given to you, you then ask, what relates angle alpha and the V along Y and the V? If you find sine alpha will be opposite over hypotenuse. Sine alpha is V along X over V. And that will mean your V along X will be V sine alpha. So as far as this angle is concerned, angle alpha, the component along X axis will be V sine alpha. Now, looking at alpha again, you want to get the component along Y. Can you use cosine alpha? Fine. Cosine alpha will be adjacent, which is the V along Y over hypotenuse. So the adjacent over hypotenuse will give you the Vy. So your Vy will then be V cos alpha. So if the angle given to you is this alpha, your component along the x-axis will be V sine alpha, while that along Y will be V cos alpha. And if component given, the angle given to you is theta, then the component along S will be V cos alpha, while the one along S will be V sine alpha. Along Y will be V sine alpha. So I think we have used what we have on the screen to explain what we need to know. Once you get this thing once and for all, believe it, every other thing we just follow each other like that. We be like A, B, C. Like give it to me and then give it to me. Know where the theta is, know where the alpha is. Which angle is given? Theta or alpha? Resolve that. Once you resolve that, be religious about your understanding of sine and cosine. Sine of an angle is always, for a right angle triangle, going to be opposite over hypotenuse, anytime, any day. Cosine of that angle will always be adjacent over hypotenuse. At any time, it's always like that. In Nigeria, it's like that. In America, it's like that. All over the world, it's always going to be like that. So once you have resolved that, you have moved. Let's move on. So, like I said, we have just put it this way. Note that V along S is V cos theta. While V along Y will be V cos alpha. And we have also told you that it's as good as you say V sine theta. For those who know the relationship between sine and cosine, you can use 90 minus theta of the thing to resolve that. When you want to take it round, I go to guess the first principle approach, define the cosine, define the sine as it is on the screen. You are good to go. You have no cause for it. Now, we are now saying that we can show that when we had these two components, V along X and V along Y, when we had them together, vectorially, they must be able to give us what we split. It was V we split it to. When we add them together vectorially, it must give us back what we split. If you have a loaf of bread and you have divided that loaf of bread into several parts, maybe you give different portions to different individuals. If those who collected those things from you, if they are faithful enough to return them to you, you join them together, to give you a loaf of bread. That is what we are talking about. So if it is a single vector B, we are split into component along X, component along Y. When we add them together vectorially, they must still give you B. Otherwise, you are not fine. And that is what we are seeing on the screen now, that we can show that we can add this B and Vy together and we get our B. And what has been done is to use the Pythagoras theorem appropriately. You know, the scale of the hypotenuse is going to be the scale of the two sides of triangle. So if you know that, then definitely you are going to arrive at this second line after we can show. B square cos square theta. That is a component along theta. You square it, along S, you square it, and the component along Y, you square that, V cos theta is what you have along X. If you find the square of that, that will be V square cos theta. The component along our Y direction is V sin theta. So if you scale that as well, you get V square sin theta. That is what I mean by using a Pythagoras theorem. The scale of the hypotenuse will be addition of the scale of the two sides. So when you do that, you have what you have on the screen. Now, if you take out this scale, you then have sin square theta plus cos square theta. If you recall, I think in one of the mathematics we said we should go by hand. We mentioned that there are things you need to just commit to memory. One of them is sin square theta plus cos square theta. It's 1. And because that is 1, an identity, you can prove it to yourself. You can go to the internet for the proof. This is not a mathematics class, otherwise I will go into that. It's a simple thing to do. So if you know that sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1, then that means V square times 1. You get V square. So you have proved that the V square is equal to V square. So you are correct. So you have split it force in the single force of the vector into the two perpendicular components successfully. Now we have what we call unit vector. The language of unit suggests 1. It relates to unity. So unit vector associated with the x-axis, unit vector associated with the y-axis, even unit vector associated with the z-axis. The unit vector associated with the x-axis, that is the vector of 1 magnitude, of size 1. That vector associated with the x-axis is I. And the one associated with the y-axis is J. The one associated with the z-axis is K. So you can have IJK. And of course, they are also right angles to each other. So you just need to know this. We shall make reference to them. So we can then write our vector V, which we are split into component along X, component along Y, as you see it on the screen. V equal IV sub X plus JV sub Y. What does that mean? We are saying V sub X with a unit vector along I, because that is the I, that is the vector that is associated with the magnitude V sub X. That is what makes it a vector, that I. You will see that the left-hand side is written in boldface, indicating that it's a vector. And you can see that the V sub X is written in a light, it's not boldface, it's lightly written. It's unbolded. That is suggesting it's a scalar. But the I you see is a vector. So it's telling you that magnitude, my magnitude is V sub X. However, I'm traveling along the I direction. That is the X axis. So the same thing with the other one. J is telling you that is a vector. Now what you see here is a vector. So we are adding vector to get the vector. So the V along Y with the vector J. Make the whole thing, make the whole package a vector. So vector plus vector give you a vector. So that is a complete way of writing your vector V. And if you want to write it in 3 dimensions, meaning that you want to include the Z axis, then you are going to have I V sub X, as you see on the screen, plus J V sub Y, and plus K V sub Z. That means 3 perpendicular at 3 dimensions. There are occasions when you need the figure. So you can see that we have just said that V sub X and Vy indicate magnitude of the components, Y and J show their respective direction. In 3D, exactly what you have just had. So the next thing to do is to solve an example. Want to solve a problem. We have a vector V split into components V1, V2, V3, Vn. We can write this out in terms of its components and combine term with term. Look at this, the next line after the first line. I into V1x, V2x, V3x, up to the last term, n. We mean that all 1, 2, 3, see, we are splitting one vector into n parts. Part 1 is what we call V sub 1. Part 2 is what we call V sub 2. Part 3 is what we call V sub 3. Part 4 is V sub 4. The last part is n. So since we have n parts of it, then we can also have this number of n in the x direction, this number of n in the y direction, this number of n in the z in the k direction, the s, y, z axis, and we use the ijk vector. So the second line is telling you that the v1 part along x, the v2 part, the v3 part, the 4 part, the v4 part, the v5 part, the vn part, all along x. I is there to indicate that they are vector whose magnitude we have in the core of the bracket. The second part is the j vector, telling you all the components along the y. The last part is the z axis that has the vector k, indicating that all the magnitude in the z axis, they have the k unit vector. That is what the second line is doing. Then summarily, we can add them up. That the v vector is as good as saying that you have IV of x. The v of the x is the magnitude of the vector along the component of v along x. The I show that it's a vector. The j show that we have component along the y whose magnitude is v sub 5. Then the last one is saying that we have one along z, and the unit vector associated with it. The magnitude of this vector v, that will require that each of these components find their square. So you find I v sub x squared plus j v sub y all squared plus k v sub z all squared. A little while, maybe in our next class, when we now meet physically and we get to this point, you will then see that there is a vector multiplication. One aspect of vector multiplication will be used here to get the right-hand side. And what is that? When you have a vector product, we have a vector product, we also have a scalar product. When you have something like I dot I, j dot j, k dot k, what you have there will be 1. 1. What does that mean? I dot I will mean magnitude of I times magnitude of I cosine of the angle between I and I. So if you are looking at angle between vector I and vector I, the angle between them is 0. So definition-wise, I dot I will be A dot B. Generally, A dot B will be magnitude of vector A times magnitude of vector B cosine angle between A and B. In case of I and I, you are having magnitude of magnitude of I times magnitude of I again cosine angle between vector I and vector I, and the angle between I and I is 0. And cos 0 is 1. So at the end of the day, you realize that the I dot I there will give you 1. That is why you have VS. And then the J dot J will give you 1. That's why you have VY squared. And the K dot K will give you 1. That is why you have VZ squared. When we look at the next aspect of this, after we have taken some exercises, we need to look at the dot product and the cross product. We'll go back to what I have defined. Maybe you are meeting for the first time. The A dot B or A dot A. We are going to have A dot B and we are going to have A cross B. What it translates to, we are going to see them when we meet it. We cannot see them now. They are finally, I think I should take this as the final slide. There's always need for you to tell us the direction of your resultant. And if you recall, we have been talking about Pythagoras theorem here. Since we are dealing with two sides that are right angle to each other, we mean that we split a vector into two perpendicular axes. This, the V along X and the V along Y. I have told you we can move V along Y to the right-hand side to close this angle. And once we have that, then we have a right angle triangle. The angle theta, if you find the tangent of angle theta, it will be opposite. That is V along Y over V along X. That is tan theta. So usually you want to find what is the angle your resultant make with the horizontal. You will want to use tan theta, which will tell you the change along the Y and change over the change along the X, tan theta. That is what we have used here. That is what you actually have in this last part of the thing. Tan theta. And if tan theta is a V along Y over V along X, then what is theta is that will be tan inverse. That particular angle that gives you this value. Tan inverse of what you have as that fraction. So your calculator will do it. And if you use 4-figure, I don't think you use 4-figure to say again. 4-figure table will also do it. I think we should leave it at this point, but this is the time to step out because just to tell you that again, we have a test starting from tomorrow. Then here, tomorrow it will be open, tomorrow Tuesday, and it will close on Friday, 11:59 p.m. Make sure you interact with it, attempt the test, and whatever you have, you may not see your result. But when we come to the class, I will give you answer to the first question, and then you can mark yourself whether it's 10-10 or 8/10 or whatever over 10. I know that it cannot be 0/10. So far, so good. We have started with simple mathematics that you need to work with. And we have gone as far as talking about adding vectors, whether they are, whether you are using geometrical approach or analytical approach. Let me take some few ones who are now allowing me to say more along this line of the line of revision. Let me take the hand. Adeshina. Adeshina, can you unmute?
Good evening, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Speak up.
Oh.
I can't hear you. Adeshina, I can't hear you.
Mistake.
Adeshina, you are wasting time. I can't hear you again.
Sorry, it was a mistake.
All right, all right. There is Aisha, Yusuf. Aisha, Tamu. Let's hear you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. Go ahead.
Sir, the test you said we are having, is it the same thing with the quiz that is on our LMS portal? Because on the LMS portal it says 5 questions. Okay.
Same thing. Go ahead and pick
okay, sir.
Let us know what to get later. All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Victor Mahmoud. Victor. Victor Mahmoud.
Okay, sir. I want to ask, pertaining the question you gave to us, one exercise like that. I want to ask, how can we differentiate on how to solve one from the other? Because the question are looking the same, but the approach is different. How to solve them is different. So I don't know.
Which question is it?
Yeah, there's one question you gave us on vectors, exercise 1 and 2, like that. Should I read the question, sir?
Go ahead. That means go ahead.
Okay. The first question says, find B times A and show that it is equal in magnitude and opposite in direction to A times B. So we're given the information of A as 5I minus 2J plus K, then B as 2I plus 4J minus 3K. Now, the question is now similar to exercise 2. That one is two insects, A and B, they fly in space with uniform velocities. For VA components, they said
okay. We will resolve that in class. Don't worry, we will resolve that. Let me take one more question first. We will resolve that.
Okay.
Folashade, go ahead. Folashade. Oh, what a pity. Well, the time is up. Somebody else should come here too. I wish you all the best. We are going to meet in class and we enjoy ourselves then. See you again. Bye-bye.
Okay.